Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. For a Sikh to achieve oneness with his Creator, he should live a life of being a householder devoted to worship. How a householder should conduct himself or herself is put in the Sikh Code of Conduct and Conventions, or the Sikh Rehat Maryada. The following is a translation as published by the DHARAM PARCHAAR Committee of the Shiromani Gurdwara Parbhandak Committee, AMRITSAR. Ek Oankar Satgur Prasad, Sikh Code of Conduct and Convention, Section 1. Definition of a Sikh. Any human being who faithfully believes in one immortal being, 10 Gurus from Guru Nanak Dev to Guru Gobind Singh, the Guru Granth Sahib, the utterances and teachings of the 10 Gurus, and the baptism bequeathed by the 10th Guru, and who does not owe allegiance to any other religion, is a Sikh. Sikh living. A Sikh's life has two aspects: individual or personal, and corporate or panthic. A Sikh's personal life. A Sikh's personal life should comprehend, number 1, meditation on Naam, the divine substance and the scriptures, leading life according to the Guru's teachings, and thirdly, altruistic voluntary service. Meditating on Naam, divine substance and scriptures. A Sikh should wake up in the ambrosial hours, 3 hours before dawn, take bath, and concentrating his or her thoughts on the one immortal being, repeat the name Vaheguru, Vaheguru, wondrous destroyer of darkness. He should recite the following scriptural compositions every day: the Jap, the Jap, and the 10 Savaiyas, the quartets beginning Sravak Sud in the morning, Sodha Reras comprising the following compositions: 9 hymns of the Guru Granth Sahib occurring in the holy book after the Japji Sahib, the first of which begins with Sodhar and the last of which ends with Saran Pareki Rakho Sarma. The Benti Chaupai of the 10th Guru beginning Hamri Karo Haath De Racha and ending with Dusht Dok Te Leo Bachai. The Savaiya beginning with the words Pai Gai Javte Tumre, the Dohra beginning with the words Sagal Dwar Ko Chhad Ke, the first 5 and last pauris or stanzas of Anand Sahib, the Mundavni, and the Slok Mela Panjwa, Slok Mahalla 5th, beginning Tera Kita Jato Nai in the evening after sunset. The Sohela to be recited at night before going to bed. The morning and evening recitations should be concluded with the Ardas, the formal supplication litany. The text of the Ardas is as follows: One absolute manifest, victory belong to the wondrous destroyer of darkness, may the might of the all-powerful help. Ode to his might by the 10th Lord. Having first thought of the Almighty's prowess, let us think of Guru Nanak, then of Guru Angat, Amar Das and Ram Das. May they be our rescuers. Remember then Arjan, Har Gobind and Har Rai. Meditate then on revered Hari Krishan, on seeing whom all suffering vanishes. Think then of Tegh Bahadur, remembrance of whom brings all 9 treasures. He comes to rescue everywhere. Then of the 10th Lord, revered Guru Gobind Singh, who comes to rescue everywhere, the embodiment of the light of all 10 sovereign lordships, the Guru Granth. Think of the view and reading of it and say Vaheguru, which means wondrous destroyer of darkness. Meditating on the achievement of the dear and truthful ones, including the 5 beloved ones, the 4 sons of the 10th Guru, 40 liberated ones, steadfast ones, constant repeaters of the divine name, those given to assiduous devotion, those who repeated the Naam, shared their fare with others, ran free kitchen, wielded the sword, and ever looked faults and shortcomings, say Vaheguru. Meditating on the achievement of the male and female members of the Khalsa who laid down their lives in the cause of dharma, religion and righteousness, got their bodies dismembered bit by bit, got their skulls sawn off, got mounted on spiked wheels, got their bodies sawn, made sacrifices in the services of the shrines and gurdwaras, did not betray their faith, sustained their adherence to the Sikh faith, and with sacred unshorn hair up till their last breath, say, wondrous destroyer of darkness, O Khalsa, thinking of the 5 thrones, seats of religious authority, and all gurdwaras, say, Vaheguru. Now it is the prayer of the whole Khalsa. May the conscience of the whole Khalsa be informed by Vaheguru, 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 and in consequence of such remembrance, may total well-being be obtained. Wherever there are communities of the Khalsa, may there be divine protection and grace, the ascendance of the supply of needs of the holy sword, protection of the tradition of grace, victory of the Panth, the succor of the holy sword, the ascendance of the Khalsa, say, O Khalsa, Vaheguru. Unto the Sikhs, the gift of the Sikh faith, the gift of the untrimmed hair, the gift of the discipline of their faith, the gift of sense of discrimination, the gift of trust, the gift of confidence, above all, the gift of meditation on the divine, and bath in Amritsar, holy tank at Amritsar. May hymn-singing missionary parties, the flags, the hostels, abide from age to age. May righteousness reign supreme, say Vaheguru. May the Khalsa be imbued with humility and high wisdom. May Vaheguru guard its understanding. O immortal being, eternal helper of thy Panth, benevolent Lord, bestow on the Khalsa the beneficence of unobstructed visit to and free management of Nankana Sahib and other shrines and places of Guru worship from which the Panth has been separated. O thou, the honor of the humble, the strength of the weak, aid unto those who have none to rely on. True Father, Vaheguru, we humbly render to you. And then the prayer is said. Pardon any impermissible aggressions, omissions, errors, mistakes. Fulfill the purpose of all. Grant us the association of those dear ones on meeting whom one is reminded of your name. O Nanak, may the Naam, holy, be ever in ascendance. In thy will, may the good of all prevail. That is the Ardas. On the conclusion of the Ardas, the entire congregation participating in the Ardas should respectfully genuflect before the revered Guru Granth, then stand up and call out, the Khalsa is of the wondrous destroyer of the darkness, victory is also his. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. The congregation should thereafter raise the loud spirited chant of Sat Sri Akal. True is the timeless being. While the Ardas is being performed, all men and women in the congregation should stand with hands folded. The person in attendance of Guru Granth should also keep waving the whisk standing. The person who performs the Ardas should stand facing the Guru Granth with hands folded. If the Guru Granth is not there, the performance of the Ardas facing in any direction is acceptable. When any special Ardas for and on behalf of one or more person is offered, it is not necessary for persons in the congregation other than that person or persons to stand up. Joining the congregation for understanding and reflection on Gurbani. One is more easily and deeply affected by Gurbani, the holy Bani bequeathed by the Gurus, participating in congregational gatherings. For this reason, it is necessary for a Sikh that he visit the places where Sikhs congregate for worship and prayer, the Gurdwaras, and joining the congregation, partake the benefits that the study of the Holy Scriptures bestows. The Guru Granth should ceremonially be opened in the Gurdwara every day without fail, except for special exigencies where there is need to keep Guru Granth Sahib open during the night. The holy book should not be kept open during the night. It should generally be closed ceremonially after the conclusion of the Reras, evening scriptural recitation. The holy book should remain open so long as a Granthi or attendant can remain in attendance. Persons seeking darshan, seeking a view of or making obeisance to it, keep coming, or there is no risk of commission of irreverence towards it. Thereafter, it is advisable to close it ceremonially to avoid any disrespect to it. The Guru Granth should be opened, read and closed ceremonially with reverence. The place where it is installed should be absolutely clean. An awning should be erected above. The Guru Granth Sahib should be placed in a cot measuring up to its size and overlaid with absolutely clean mattresses and sheets. For proper installation and opening the Guru Granth, there should be cushions, pillows of appropriate kind, etc., and for covering it, romalas, sheet covers of appropriate size. When the Guru Granth is not being read, it should remain covered with a normal rumal. A whisk too should be there. Anything except for the aforementioned reverential ceremonies, for instance such practice as the arti with burning of incense and lamps, offering of eatables to the Guru Granth Sahib, burning of lights, beating of gongs, etc., is contrary to the Gurmat. Gurmat means the Guru's way. However, for the perfuming of the place, the use of flowers, incense and scent is not barred. For light inside the room, oil or butter oil lamps, candles, electric lamps, kerosene oil lamps, etc. may be lighted. No book should be installed like and at par with the Guru Granth Sahib. Worship of any idol or ritual or activity should not be allowed to be conducted inside the Gurdwara. Nor should the festival of any other faith be allowed to be celebrated inside the Gurdwara. However, it will not be improper to use any occasion or gathering for the propagation of the Gurmat. Pressing the legs of the cot on which Guru Granth Sahib is installed, rubbing nose against walls or on platforms held sacred, or massaging these, placing water below the Guru Granth Sahib's seat, making or installing statues or idols inside the Gurdwara, bowing before pictures of the Sikh Gurus or elders, all these are irreligious, self-willed egotism, contrary to Gurmat. When the Guru Granth has been taken from one place to another, the ardas should be performed. He or she who carries the Guru Granth on his or her head should walk barefoot. But when the wearing of shoes is a necessity, no superstitions need to be entertained. The Guru Granth should be ceremonially opened after performing the ardas. After the ceremonial opening, a hymn should be read from the Guru Granth Sahib. Whenever the Guru Granth is brought, irrespective of whether or not another copy of Guru Granth Sahib is already being installed at the correct place, in the concerned place, every Sikh should stand up to show respect. While going into the Gurdwara, one should take off the shoes and clean oneself up. If the feet are dirty or soiled, they should be washed with water. One should circumambulate with the Guru Granth Sahib or the Gurdwara on one's right. No person, no matter which country, religion, caste he or she belongs to, is debarred from entering the Gurdwara for darshan, seeing the holy shrine. However, she should not have on his or her person anything such as tobacco or other intoxicants which are tabooed by the Sikh religion. The first thing a Sikh should do on entering the Gurdwara is to do the obeisance before the Guru Granth Sahib. He or she should thereafter have a glimpse of the congregation and bid in a low, quiet voice, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. In the congregation, there should be no differentiation or discrimination between Sikh and non-Sikh, persons traditionally regarded as touchable and untouchable, the so-called high and low caste persons, the high and low. sitting on a cushion, a distinctive seat, a chair, a stool, a cot, etc., or in any distinctive position in the presence of the Guru Granth or within the congregation is contrary to Gurmat. No Sikh should sit bareheaded in the presence of the Guru Granth Sahib or in the congregation. For Sikh women, joining the congregation with their persons uncomfortably draped and with veils drawn over their faces is contrary to Gurmat. There are 5 takhats, meaning thrones, seats of high authority, namely the Holy Akal Takht Amritsar, the Holy Takht Patna Sahib, the Holy Takht Kesgarh Sahib Anandpur, the Holy Takht Hazur Sahib Nanded, the Holy Takht Damdama Sahib Talwandi Sabo. Only an Amritari or baptized Sikh man or woman who faithfully observes the discipline ordained for the baptized Sikhs can enter the hallowed enclosures of the takhats. Ardas for and on behalf of any Sikh or non-Sikh except a fallen or punished Tankhaya Sikh can be offered at the takhats. At a high-level site in every Gurdwara should be installed the Nishan Sahib, the Sikh flag. The cloth of the flag should be either of xanthic or greyish-blue color, and on top of the flag post there should be either a spearhead or khanda. There should be a drum, a nagara, in the Gurdwara for beating on appropriate occasions. Kirtan. This is devotional hymn singing by a group or individual. Only a Sikh may perform Kirtan in a congregation. Kirtan means singing the scriptural compositions in traditional musical measures. In the congregation, Kirtan only of Gurbani, Guru Granth Sahib or Guru Gobind Singh's hymns, and for its elaboration of the compositions of Bhai Gurdas and Bhai Nandlal may be performed. It is improper, while singing hymns to rhythmic folk tunes or to traditional music measures or in team singing, to induct into them improvised and extraneous refrains. Only a line from the hymn should be made a refrain. Taking hukam, the command. Doing obeisance to the Guru Granth Sahib respectfully, taking a glimpse of the congregation, an embodiment of the Guru's person, and taking the command, these together constitute the view of the Satguru, the immortal destroyer of darkness, the true Guru. Raising the drapery covering the Guru Granth Sahib and merely taking a look at or making others to take a look at the exposed page without taking the command, reading the prescribed hymn, is contrary to Gurmat. In the course of the congregational sessions, only one thing should be done at one time: performing of kirtan, delivering of discourse, interpretive elaboration of the scriptures, or reading of the scriptures. Only a Sikh man or woman is entitled to be in attendance of the Guru Granth Sahib during congregational sessions. Only a Sikh may read out from the Guru Granth Sahib for others. However, even a non-Sikh may read from it for himself or herself. For taking the command, the hukam, the hymn that is continuing on the top of the left-hand page must be read from the beginning. If the hymn begins on the previous page, turn over the page and read the whole hymn from the beginning to the end. If the scriptural composition that is continuing at the top of the left page is a var, an ode, then start from the first of the sloks preceding the padi and read up to the end of the padi. Conclude the reading at the end of the hymn with the line in which the name Nanak occurs. Hukam must also be taken at the conclusion of the congregational session or after the ardas. Sadharan Path, completion of normal, intermittent reading of the Guru Granth Sahib. Every Sikh should, as far as possible, maintain a separate and exclusive place for the installation of Guru Granth Sahib in his home. Every Sikh man, woman, boy or girl should learn Gurmukhi to be able to read the Guru Granth Sahib. Every Sikh should take the hukam, the command of the Guru Granth, in the ambrosial early hours of the morning before taking a meal. If he or she fails to do that, then he or she should read or listen to the reading from the Guru Granth sometime during the day. If he or she cannot do that either during travel, etc., or owing to other impediment, he or she should not give in to a feeling of guilt. It is desirable that every Sikh should carry on a continuous reading of the Guru Granth and complete a full reading in 1 or 2 months or over a longer period. While undertaking a full reading of the Guru Granth, one should recite the Anand Sahib, the first 5 and the last stanzas, and perform the Ardas. One should thereafter read the Japji. Akhand Path, uninterrupted, non-stop completion of the reading of the Guru Granth Sahib. The non-stop reading of Guru Granth Sahib is carried on at hard times or on occasions of elation or joy. It takes approximately 48 hours. The non-stop reading implies continuous uninterrupted reading. The reading must be clear and correct. Reading too fast so that the person listening into it cannot follow the contents amounts to irreverence to the scriptures. The reading should be correct and clear, due care being bestowed on consonant and vowel, even though it takes a little longer to complete. Whichever family or congregation undertakes the non-stop reading should carry it out itself through its members, relatives, friends, etc. all together. The number of reciters is not prescribed. If a person himself cannot read, he should listen in to the reading by some competent reader. However, it should never be allowed to happen that the reader carries on the reading all by himself and no member of the congregation or the family is listening in to the reading. The reader should be served with food and clothing to the best of the hostess means. Placing a pitcher, ceremonial clarified butter-fed lamp, coconut, etc. around during the course of the uninterrupted or other reading of the Guru Granth Sahib or reading of other scriptural texts side by side with or in the course of such reading is contrary to Gurmat, the Guru's way. Commencing the non-stop reading. While undertaking the intermittent reading of the whole Guru Granth Sahib, the sacred pudding, Kada Prasad, for offerings should be brought, and after reciting the Anand Sahib 6 stanzas and offering Ardas, hukam should be taken. While beginning the unbroken reading, the sacred pudding should first be laid. Thereafter, after reciting Anand Sahib 6 stanzas, offering the Ardas and taking the hukam, the reading should be commenced. Concluding the reading. The reading of the whole Guru Granth Sahib, intermittent or non-stop, may be concluded with the reading of the Mundavani or the Ragmala according to the convention traditionally observed at the concerned place. Since there is a difference of opinion within the Panth on this issue, nobody should dare to write or print a copy of the Guru Granth Sahib excluding the Ragmala. Thereafter, after reciting the Anand Sahib, the Ardas of the conclusion of the reading should be offered and the sacred pudding, Kada Prasad, be distributed. On the conclusion of the reading, offering of draperies, fly whisk and awning, having regard to the requirements of the Guru Granth Sahib and of other things for Panthic causes, should be made to the best of means. Kada Prasad, the sacred pudding. Only the sacred pudding which has been prepared or got prepared according to the prescribed method shall be accepted in the congregation. The method of preparing the Kada Prasad is this. In a clean vessel, the 3 contents, wheat flour, pure sugar and clarified butter in equal quantities, should be put, and it should be made reciting the scriptures. Then covering with a clean piece of cloth, it should be placed on a clean stool in front of Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Thereafter, in the holy presence of the Guru Granth, the 5 stanzas and the last stanza of the first 5 and the last stanza of the Anand Sahib should be recited aloud so that the congregation can hear. The Ardas offered and the pudding tugged with the sacred kirpan for acceptance. After this, before distribution to the congregation of the Kara Prasad, the share of the 5 beloved ones should be set apart and given away. Thereafter, while commencing the general distribution, the share of the person in attendance of the Guru Granth Sahib should be put in a small bowl or vessel and handed over. The person who doles out the Kara Prasad among the congregation should do so without any discrimination on the basis of personal regard or spite. He should dole out the Kara Prasad equally to the Sikh, the non-Sikh, or person of high or low caste. While doling out the Kara Prasad, no discrimination should be made on considerations of caste or ancestry or being regarded by some as untouchable of persons within the congregation. The offering of Kara Prasad should be accompanied by at least 2 paise in cash. Exposition of Gurbani. The exposition of Gurbani in a congregational gathering should be carried out only by a Sikh. The object of the exposition should only be promoting the understanding of the Guru's tenets. The exposition can only be of the 10 Gurus' writings or utterances, Bhai Gurdas's writing, Bhai Nandalal's writing, or of any generally accepted Panthik book or of books of history which are in agreement with the Guru's tenets, and not of a book of any other faith. However, for illustration, references to a holy person's teaching or those contained in a book may be made. Expository discourse. No discourse contrary to the Guru's tenets should be delivered inside a Gurdwara. Gurdwara service. In the Gurdwara, the schedule of congregational service generally is ceremonial opening of the Guru Granth Sahib, Kirtan, exposition of scriptures, expository discourses, recitation of Anand Sahib, the Ardas, the raising of the Fateh slogan, and then the slogan of Sat Sri Akal and taking the hukam. Living in consonance with the Guru's tenets. A Sikh's living, earning livelihood, thinking and conduct should accord with the Guru's tenets. The Guru's tenets are: worship should be rendered only to the one timeless being and to no god or goddesses. Regarding the 10 Gurus, the Guru Granth and the 10 Gurus' word alone as saviors and holy objects of veneration. Regarding 10 Gurus as the effulgence of one light and one single entity. Not believing in caste or descent, untouchability, magic, spells, incantations, omens, auspicious times, days and occasions, influence of stars, horoscopic dispositions, shrouds, ritual serving of food to priests for the salvation of ancestors on appointed days as per the lunar calendar. Ancestor worship, khiya, which is ritual serving of food to priests Brahmins on lunar anniversaries of the death of an ancestor. Pind, offering of funeral bandi cakes to the deceased relatives. Patal, ritual donating of food in the belief that it would satisfy the hunger of a departed soul. Diva, the ceremony of keeping an oil lamp lit for 360 days after the death in the belief that it lights the path of the deceased. Ritual funeral acts, home, lighting of ritual fire and pouring intermittently clarified butter, food grains, etc. into it for propitiating gods for the fulfillment of a purpose. Jug, religious ceremony involving presentations of oblations. Tarpan, libation. Sikha sooth, keeping a tuft of hair on the head and wearing a thread. Badan, shaving of the head on the death of a parent. Fasting on a new or full moon or other days. Wearing of frontal marks on the forehead. Wearing of thread. Wearing of a necklace and pieces of tulsi stalk. Veneration of any graves, of monuments erected to honor the memory of a deceased person, or of cremation sites, idolatry, and such superstitious observations. These are not to be done. Not owning up or regarding as hallowed any other place other than the Guru's place, such for instance as sacred spots or places of pilgrimage of other faiths. Not believing in or according any authority to Muslim seers, Brahmin holies, soothsayers, clairvoyants, oracles, promise and offering on the fulfillment of a wish, offering of sweet loaves or rice pudding at graves on the fulfillment of wishes, the Vedas, the Shastras, the Gayatri, the Gita, the Quran, the Bible, etc. However, the study of books of other faiths for general self-education is admissible. The Khalsa should maintain its distinctiveness among the professors of different religions of the world, but should not hurt the sentiment of any person professing another religion. A Sikh should pray to God before launching off any task. Learning Gurmukhi, Punjabi in Gurmukhi script, is essential for a Sikh. He should pursue other studies also. It's also a Sikh's duty to get his children educated in Sikhism. A Sikh should in no way harbor any antipathy to the hair of the head with which his child is born. He should not tamper with the hair with which the child is born. He should add the suffix Singh to the name of his son. A Sikh should keep the hair of his sons and daughters intact. A Sikh must not take hemp, cannabis, opium, liquor, tobacco, in short, any intoxicant. His only routine intake should be food. Piercing of nose or ears for wearing ornaments is forbidden for Sikh men and women. A Sikh should not kill his daughter, nor should he maintain any relationship with a killer of daughter. A true Sikh of the Guru shall make an honest living by lawful work. A Sikh shall regard a poor person's mouth as the Guru's cash offerings box. A Sikh shall not steal, form dubious associations, or engage in gambling. He who regards another man's daughter as his own daughter, regards another man's wife as his mother, has cohesion with his wife alone, he alone is a truly disciplined Sikh of the Guru. A Sikh woman shall likewise keep within the confines of conjugal rectitude. A Sikh shall observe the Sikh rules of conduct and conventions from his birth right up to the end of his life. A Sikh, when he meets another Sikh, should greet him with Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This is ordained for Sikh men and women both. It's not proper for a Sikh woman to wear veil or keep her face hidden by veil or cover. For a Sikh, there is no restriction or requirement as to dress, except that he must wear kachara and turban. A Sikh woman may or may not tie the turban. Ceremonies pertaining to birth and naming of child. In a Sikh's household, as soon after the birth of a child as the mother becomes capable of moving about and taking bath, irrespective of number of days which it takes, the family and relatives should go to the Gurdwara with PARCHAAR or get PARCHAAR made in the Gurdwara and recite in the holy presence of the Guru Granth Sahib such hymns as Parmesar Ditta Banna, Satgur Sache Diya Pej that are expressive of joy and thankfulness. Thereafter, if a reading of the holy Guru Granth Sahib has been taken up, that should be concluded. Then the holy hukam, command should be taken. A name starting with the first letter of the hymn of the hukam, command, should be proposed by the Granthi, the man in the attendance of the holy book, and after its acceptance by the congregation, the name should be announced by him. The boy's name must have the suffix Singh and the girl's the suffix Kaur. After that, the Anand Sahib, the short version comprising 6 stanzas, should be recited and the ardas in appropriate terms, expressing joy over the naming ceremony, be offered and Kra Prasad distributed. The superstition as to the pollution of food and water in the consequence of birth must not be subscribed to, for the holy writ is that birth and death are by his ordinance. Coming and going is by his will. All food and water are in principle clean, for these life-sustaining substances are provided by him. Making shirts or frocks for children out of the holy book's draperies is a sacrilege. Anand Sanskar, Sikh matrimonial conventions and ceremony. A Sikh man and woman should enter wedlock without giving thought to the prospective spouse's caste and descent. A Sikh's daughter must be married to a Sikh. A Sikh's marriage should be solemnized by Anand marriage rites. Child marriage is taboo for Sikhs. When a girl becomes marriageable, physically, emotionally, and by virtue of maturity of character, a suitable Sikh match should be found, and she be married to him by Anand marriage rites. Marriage may not be preceded by engagement ceremony. But if an engagement ceremony is sought to be held, a congregational gathering should be held, and after offering the ardas before the Guru Granth Sahib, a kirpan, a steel bangle and some sweets may be tendered to the boy. Consulting horoscopes for determining which day or date is auspicious or otherwise for fixing the day of the marriage is a sacrilege. Any day that the parties find suitable by mutual consultation should be fixed. Putting on floral or gilded face ornamentation, decorative headgear, or red thread band round the wrist, worshipping ancestors, dipping feet in milk mixed with water, cutting a berry or jandi bush, filling pitchers, ceremonial retirement in feigned displeasure, reciting couplets, performing havans, installing vedis, canopies, pavilions under which Hindu marriages are performed, prostitutes, dancers, drinking liquor are all sacrilegious. The marriage party should have as a small number of people as the girl's people desire. The two sides should greet each other singing sacred hymns, and finally by the Sikh greeting of Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. For marriage, there should be a congregational gathering in the holy presence of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. There should be hymn singing by Ragis of the whole congregation. Then the girl and the boy should be made to sit facing the Guru Granth Sahib. The girl should sit on the left side of the boy. After soliciting the congregation's permission, the master of the marriage ceremony, who may be a man or woman, should bid the boy and girl and their parents or guardians to stand and should offer the ardas for the commencement of the Anand marriage ceremony. The officiant should then apprise the boy and the girl of the duties and obligations of conjugal life according to the Guru's tenets. He should initially give the two an exposition of their common mutual obligations. He should tell them how to model the husband-wife relationship on the love between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul in the light of the contents of the circumambulation, lama, hymns in the Suhi measure of the Guru Granth Sahib. He should explain to them the notion of the state of a single soul in two bodies to be achieved through love, and make them see how they may attain union with the immortal being, discharging duties and obligations of the householder's life. Both of them, they should be told, have to make their conjugal union a means to the fulfillment of the purpose of the journey of human existence. Both have to lead clean and Guru-orientated lives through the instrumentality of their union. He should then explain to the boy and girl individually their respective conjugal duties as husband and wife. The bridegroom should be told that the girl's people, having chosen him as the fittest match from among a whole lot, he should regard his wife as his better half, accord to her unflinching love, and share with her all that he has. In all situations, he should protect her person and honor. He should be completely loyal to her, and he should show as much respect and consideration for her parents and relations as for his own. The girl should be told that she has been joined in matrimony to her man in the hallowed presence of the Guru Granth Sahib and the congregation. She should ever harbor for him deferential solicitude, regard him the Lord and Master of her love and trust. She should remain firm in her loyalty to him and serve him in joy and sorrow and in every clime, native or foreign, and should show the same regard and consideration to his parents and relatives as she would to her own parents and relatives. The boy and girl should bow before the Guru Granth Sahib to betoken their acceptance of these instructions. Thereafter, the girl's father or the principal relation should make the girl grasp one end of the sash which the boy is wearing over his shoulders, and the person in attendance of the Guru Granth Sahib should recite the matrimonial circumambulation stanzas, Lama of the fourth Guru, in the Suhi musical measure section of the Guru Granth. After the conclusion of the recitation of each of the stanzas, the boy, followed by the girl holding the end of the sash, should go round the Guru Granth Sahib while the ragis or the congregation sing out the recited stanza. The boy and girl, after every circumambulation, should bow before the Guru Granth Sahib in genuflection, lowering their forehead to touch the ground, and then stand up to listen to the recitation of the next stanza. There being 4 matrimonial circumambulation stanzas in the concerned hymn, the proceedings will comprise 4 circumambulations with the incidental singing of the stanza. After the 4th circumambulation, the boy and girl should, after bowing before the Guru Granth Sahib, sit down at the appointed place, and the ragis or the person who has conducted the ceremony should recite the first 5 and last stanza of the Anand Sahib. Thereafter, the ardas should be offered to mark the conclusion of the Anand marriage ceremony and the sacred pudding distributed. Persons professing faiths other than the Sikh faith cannot be joined in wedlock by the Anand Karaj ceremony. No Sikh should accept a match for his or her daughter or son for monetary consideration. If the girl's parents at any time or on any occasion visit their daughter's home and a meal is ready there, they should not hesitate to eat there. Abstaining from eating at the girl's home is a superstition. The Khalsa has been blessed with the boons of victuals and making others eat by the Guru and the immortal being. The girls and boys people should keep accepting each other's hospitality because the Guru has joined them in a relationship of equality. If a woman's husband has died, she may, if she so wishes, find a match suitable for her, remarry. For a Sikh man whose wife has died, similar ordinance obtains. The remarriage may be solemnized in the same manner as the Anand marriage. Generally, no Sikh should marry a second wife if the first wife is alive. A baptized Sikh ought to get his wife baptized. Funeral ceremonies. The body of a dying or dead person, if it is on a cot, must not be taken off the cot and put on the floor. Nor must a lit lamp be placed beside or a cow god bestowed in donation by him or her for his or her good, or any other ceremony contrary to Guru's way be performed. Only Gurbani should be recited, or Vaheguru, Vaheguru repeated by his side. When someone shuffles the mortal coil, the survivors must not grieve, or raise a hue and cry, or indulge in breast beating. To induce a mood of resignation to God's will, it is desirable to recite Gurbani or repeat Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. However young the deceased may be, the body should be cremated. However, where arrangements for cremation cannot be made, there should be no qualm about the body being immersed in flowing water or disposed of in any other manner. As to the time of cremation, no consideration as to whether it should take place during day or night should weigh. The dead body should be bathed and clothed in clean clothes. While that is done, the Sikh symbols comb, kacha, kada, kirpan should not be taken off. Thereafter, putting the body on a plank, ardas about it being taken away for disposal be offered. The hairs should then be lifted and taken to the cremation ground. While the body is being carried to the cremation ground, hymns that induce feelings of detachment should be recited. On reaching the cremation ground, the pyre should be laid. Then the ardas for consigning the body to the fire be offered. The dead body should then be placed on the pyre, and the son or any other relation or friend of the deceased should set fire to it. The accompanying congregation should sit at a reasonable distance and listen to kirtan or carry out collective singing of hymns or recitation of detachment-inducing hymns. When the pyre is fully aflame, the kirtan soila be recited and the ardas be offered. Piercing the skull half an hour or so after the pyre has been burning with a rod or something else in the belief that it will secure the release of the soul, Kapal Kriya, is contrary to Guru's tenets. The congregation should then leave. Coming back home, a reading of the Guru Granth Sahib should be commenced at home or in a nearby Gurdwara. And after reciting the 6 stanzas of the Anand Sahib, the ardas offered and Kada Prasad distributed. The reading of the Guru Granth Sahib should be completed on the 10th day. If the reading cannot or is sought not to be completed on the 10th day, some other day may be appointed for the conclusion of the reading, having regard to the convenience of the relatives. The reading of the Guru Granth Sahib should be carried out by the members of the household of the deceased and relatives in cooperation. If possible, kirtan may be held every night. No funeral ceremony remains to be performed after the 10th day. When the pyre is burnt out, the whole bulk of ashes, including the burnt bones, should be gathered up and immersed in flowing water or buried at that very place and ground levelled. Raising a monument to the memory of the deceased at the place where his dead body is cremated is taboo. Admarg, the ceremony of breaking the pot used for bathing the dead body amid doleful cries halfway towards the cremation ground, organized lamentation by women, sitting on a straw mat in mourning for a certain period, keeping an oil lamp lit for 360 days after death in the belief that it will light the path of the deceased, a ritual of donating lamps and rice flour or solidified milks for 10 days after the death, concluding the funeral proceedings ritualistically serving meals and making offerings by way of sharad, waving of whisk over the hairs of an old person's dead body and decorating the hairs with festoons, etc., are all contrary to the approved code. So too is the picking of burnt bones from the ashes of the pyre for immersing at the Ganga, at Patalpuri, at Kiratpur, at Kartarpur Sahib or any other such place. Apart from these rites and conventions, on every happy or sad occasion, such as moving into a new house, setting up a new business or shop, putting a child to school, etc., a Sikh should pray for God's help by performing the ardas. The essential components of all rites and ceremonies in Sikhism are the recitation of Gurbani and the performing of the ardas. Voluntary service. Voluntary service is a prominent part of Sikh religion. Illustrative models of voluntary service are organized for imparting training in the Gurdwaras themselves. In its simple forms, sweeping and plastering the floors of the Gurdwara, serving water to or fanning the congregation, offering provisions to and rendering any kind of service in the common kitchen cum eating house, dusting the shoes of the people visiting the Gurdwara, etc. Guru's Langar Hall, the kitchen cum eating house. The philosophy behind the Guru's Langar Hall is twofold: to help provide training to the Sikhs in voluntary service and to help banish all distinction of high and low, touchable and untouchable from Sikhs' minds. All human beings, high or low, of any caste or color, may sit and eat in the Guru's kitchen cum eating house. No discrimination on grounds of country of origin, color, caste or religion must be made while making people sit in rows for eating. However, only baptized Sikhs can eat off one plate. Facets of corporate Sikh life. The essential facets of Panthic life are Guru Panth, the Panth's Guru status, the ceremony of ambrosial initiation, the statute of chastisement for aberrations, the statute of collective resolution, and the appeal against local decisions. Panth's status of Guruhood. The concept of service is not confined to fanning the congregation, service to, and in the common kitchen. A Sikh's entire life is a life of benevolent exertion. The most fruitful service is the service that secures the optimal good by minimal endeavor. That can be achieved through organized collective action. A Sikh has, for this reason, to fulfill his Panthic obligations as a member of the corporate entity, the Panth, even as he or she performs his or her individual duties. This corporate entity is the Panth. Every Sikh has to fulfill his obligation as a unit of the corporate body, the Panth. The Guru Panth, that is Panth's status of Guruhood, means the whole body of committed baptized Sikhs. This body was fostered by all 10 Gurus, and the 10th Guru gave it its final shape and invested it with Guruhood. Ceremony of baptism or initiation. Ambrosial baptism should be held at an exclusive place, away from the common human traffic. At the place where ambrosial baptism is to be administered, the holy Guru Granth Sahib should be installed and ceremonially opened. Also present should be 6 committed baptized Sikhs, one of whom should sit in attendance of the Guru Granth Sahib, and the other 5 should be there to administer the Amrit or ambrosial baptism. These 6 may even include Sikh women. All of them must have taken bath and washed their hair. The 5 loved ones who administer the Amrit should not include disabled persons such as a person who is blind or blind in one eye, lame, or one with a broken or disabled limb, or one suffering from some chronic disease. The number should not include anyone who has committed a breach of the Sikh discipline and principles. All of them should be committed baptized Sikhs with appealing personalities. Any man or woman of any country, religion or caste who embraces Sikhism and solemnly undertakes to abide by its principles is entitled to Amrit, the ambrosial baptism. The person to be baptized should not be of very young age. He or she should have attained a plausible degree of discretion. The person to be baptized must have taken bath and washed the hair and must wear all 5 Ks. Kesh, that's unshorn hair, strapped kirpan, the sword, kachera, the prescribed shorts, kanga, the comb tucked in and tied hair, kada, the steel bracelet. He, she must not have on his or her person any token of any other faith. He or she must not have his or her head bare or be wearing a cap. He or she must not be wearing any ornaments piercing through any part of the body. The persons to be baptized must stand respectfully with hands folded facing the Guru Granth Sahib. Anyone seeking to be rebaptized, having committed an aberration, should be singled out, and the 5 beloved ones should award chastisement to him or her in the presence of the congregation. One from amongst the 5 beloved ones administering ambrosial baptism to persons seeking to be baptized should explain the principles of the Sikh religion to them. The Sikh religion advocates the renunciation of the worship of any created thing and rendering of worship and loving devotion to and meditating on the one supreme Creator. For the fulfillment of such devotion and meditation, reflection on the contents of Gurbani and practicing of its tenets, participation in the congregational services, rendering services to the Panth, benevolent exertion to promote the good of others, love of God's name, loving reflection on and experiencing of the divine, living within the Sikh discipline after getting baptized, etc., are the principal means. He should conclude his exposition of the principles of the Sikh religion with the query, "Do you accept these willingly?" On an affirmative response from the seekers of baptism, one from amongst the 5 beloved ones should perform the ardas for the preparation of baptism and take the holy hukam, the command. The 5 beloved ones should come close to the bowl for preparing the Amrit, the ambrosial nectar. The bowl should be of pure steel and it should be placed on a clean steel ring or other clean support. Clean water and sugar puffs should be put into the bowl, and the 5 beloved ones should sit around it in beer posture and recite the undermentioned scriptural compositions. They are the Japji, the Jap, the 10 Savaiyas commencing with Sravag Sud, the Benti Chopi from Hamri Karo Hath De Racha to Dusht Dokte Leo Vachai, and Anand Sahib. Each of the 5 beloved ones who recites the scripture should hold the edge of the bowl with his left hand and keep stirring the water with a double-edged sword held in his right hand. He should do that with full concentration. The rest of the beloved ones should keep gripping the edge of the bowl with both hands, concentrating their full attention on the ambrosial nectar. After the conclusion of the recitation, one from amongst the beloved ones should perform the ardas. Only that person seeking to be baptized who has participated in the entire ceremony of ambrosial baptism can be baptized. One who has turned up while the ceremony was in progress cannot be baptized. After the ardas, thinking of our Father, the 10th Master, the wearer of the aigrette, every person seeking to be baptized should sit in beer posture, putting his or her right hand cupped on the left cupped hand, and be made to drink the ambrosial mix 5 times. As the beloved one who pours the mix into his cupped hand exclaims, "Say, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh," the Khalsa is of the wondrous destroyer of darkness, victory too is his. The person being baptized should then, after imbibing the ambrosia, repeat, "Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh." Then 5 handfuls of the ambrosial mix should be sprinkled into the eyes of the person being baptized, and another 5 into his hair. Each such sprinkling should be accompanied by the beloved one administering baptism saying, "Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh," and the person being baptized repeating the chant. Whatever ambrosial mix is left over after administration of the ambrosial baptism to all individual seekers should be sipped by all, men and women baptized together. After this, the 5 beloved ones, all together in chorus, communicating the name of Vaheguru to all who have been administered the Amrit, recite to them the Mool Mantar, the basic creed, the seminal chant, and make them repeat it aloud. Ik Oankar, Sat Nam, Karta Purkh, Nirbhav, Nirvair, Akal Murat, Ajuni Saibhang, Gur Prasad. After this, one from amongst the 5 beloved ones should explain to the initiates the discipline of the order. Today you are reborn in the true Guru's household, ending the cycle of migration, and join the Khalsa Panth. Your spiritual father is now Guru Gobind Singh, and spiritual mother Mata Sahib Kaur. Your place of birth is Kesgarh Sahib, and your native place is Anandpur Sahib. You, being the sons of one father, are inter se yourself and other baptized Sikhs, spiritual brothers. You have become the pure Khalsa, having renounced your previous lineage, professional background, calling, occupation, beliefs, that is, having given up all connections with your caste, descent, birth, country, religion, etc., you are to worship none except the one timeless being. No god, goddess, incarnation or prophet. You are not to think of anyone except the 10 gurus and anything except their gospel as your savior. You are supposed to know Gurmukhi. If you do not, you must learn it and recite or listen in the recitation of the undermentioned scriptural compositions, the daily repetition of which is ordained every day. The Japji Sahib, the Jap Sahib, the 10 Savaiye beginning with Sravak Sud, the Sodar Rehras and Sohila. Besides, you should read from or listen in to the recitation from the Guru Granth Sahib. Have on your person all the time the 5 Ks, the Keshas, the unshorn hair, the Kirpan, the sheath sword, the Kachera, the Kanga, and the Kada. The undermentioned 4 transgressions, tabooed practices must be avoided. Number 1, dishonoring the hair. Number 2, eating meat of an animal slaughtered the Muslim way. Number 3, cohabiting with a person other than one's spouse. Number 4, using tobacco. In the event of the commission of any of these transgressions, the transgressor must be rebaptized. If a transgression is committed unintentionally and unknowingly, the transgressor shall not be liable to punishment. You must not associate with a Sikh who has uncut hair earlier and has cut it, or a Sikh who smokes. You must be ever ready for the service of the Panth and of the Gurdwaras. You must tender 1/10 of your earnings to the Guru. In short, you must act the Guru's way in all spheres of activity. You must remain fully aligned to the Khalsa brotherhood in accordance with the principle of the Khalsa faith. If you commit transgression of the Khalsa discipline, you must present yourself before the congregation and beg pardon, accepting whatever punishment is awarded. You must also resolve to remain watchful against defaults in the future. The following individuals shall be liable to chastisement involving automatic boycott: anyone maintaining relations or communion with elements antagonistic to the Panth, including the Minas, the Masans, followers of Tirmal or Ram Rai, or users of tobacco or killers of female infants; one who eats or drinks leftover of the unbaptized or fallen Sikhs; one who dyes his beard; one who gives off son or daughter in matrimony for price or reward; users of intoxicants, hemp, opium, liquor, narcotics, cocaine, etc.; one holding or being a party to ceremonies or practices contrary to the Guru's way; one who defaults in the maintenance of Sikh discipline. After this sermon, one from the 5 beloved ones should perform the ardas. Thereafter, the Sikhs sitting in attendance of the Guru Granth Sahib should take the hukam. If anyone from amongst those who have received the Amrit had not earlier been named in accordance with the Sikh naming ceremony, he should renounce his previous name and be given a new name beginning with the first letter of the hukam now taken. And finally, the Kada Prasad should be distributed. All the newly launched Sikh men and women should eat the Kada Prasad together off the same bowl. Method of imposing chastisement. Any Sikh who has committed any default in the observance of the Sikh discipline should approach the nearby Sikh congregation and make a confession of his lapse standing before the congregation. The congregation should then, in the holy presence of the Guru Granth Sahib, elect from among themselves 5 beloved ones who should ponder over the suppliant's fault and propose the chastisement or punishment for it. The congregation should not take an obdurate stand in granting pardon, nor should the defaulter argue about the chastisement. The punishment that is imposed should be some kind of service, especially some service that can be performed with hands. And finally, an ardas for correction should be performed. Method of adopting Gurmata. The Gurmata can only be on a subject that affects the fundamental principles of Sikh religion and for their upholding, such as the questions affecting the maintenance of the status of the Gurus or the Guru Granth Sahib, or the inviolability of Guru Granth Sahib, ambrosial baptism, Sikh discipline and way of life, the identity and structural framework of the Panth. Ordinary issues of religious, educational, social or political nature can be dealt with only in a mata. A Gurmata can be adopted only by a select primary Panthic group or a representative gathering of the Panth. And finally, appeals against local decisions. An appeal can be made to the Akal Takht against a local congregation's decision. This is the Sikh Rehat Maryada. पूजा अकाल की, पर्चा शब्द का, दीदार खालसे का, किरत करो, नाम जपो, वंड छको, अमृत छको, सिंह सजो, नशे छड्डो, गुरमुखी सिखो, गुरमुखी लिखो, गुरमुखी पढ़ो। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।